Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I call this meeting of the Fraser Planning Commission for May 7th, 2025 to order at 7:02 p.m. If you'll all please turn off your cell phones or put them on silent and join me in standing and starting our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now we'll begin with roll call. Mr. Clerk, if you'll please do that.
Commissioner Barr is not here. Commissioner Zarnecki?
Present.
Commissioner Farina?
I'm here.
Commissioner Kyle?
Present.
Commissioner Meyer?
Here.
Commissioner Tuller?
Here.
Commissioner Warnock?
Here.
That is a quorum, sir.
Okay, make note that Commissioner Barr has an excused absence.
Do you have to motion to excuse it?
I move to excuse Member Barr from tonight's meeting due to illness.
I'll support.
Okay, motion.
Second. Oh, third.
Get it. All right, thank you. Now, next we'll need approval of the agenda. Any discussions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
I'll move to accept the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Farina, supported by Commissioner Kyle. Okay,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No, so we'll continue. Agenda is approved. All right, start with my opening remarks. Tonight's meeting will follow the agenda which was posted online and has been printed for you here. Before we begin, it's important to let everyone know that the Planning Commission is created by state law. The commission is comprised of 7 members, all of whom have volunteered to serve. Members are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by city council. The role of the Planning Commission is to plan and promote the efficient, coordinated development of the city for the health, safety, and general welfare of its residents. We are not here to negotiate with applicants or allow everything an applicant is requesting. However, the Planning Commission does have the power to approve certain requests and recommend others, depending on the nature of the request and whether all the standards in the zoning ordinance have been met. Planning Commission may also impose conditions on a proposed project in order to ensure that those standards are met. Other individuals here with us tonight are legal representative from O'Reilly Rancilio PC, Alyssa Erickson. Welcome back. Our city planner representative from McKenna and Associates, Lauren Sayre, and the city clerk, August Gischlag. The procedure followed by the Planning Commission for public hearings first involves the city planner providing an overview of each case. After the overview is completed, the applicant will be asked to provide additional information and answer any questions Planning Commission members may have. After the Planning Commission questions, the public will be invited to speak. Each person will have one opportunity to speak, must only speak directly to that specific case, and must only address the Planning Commission, not the applicant or anyone else in attendance. If you have questions, please direct them to the Planning Commission, and we may ask for answers to your questions if they are relevant to the factors the Planning Commission is required to consider. After the public has had an opportunity to speak, Planning Commission members may again ask questions of the applicant, and then the Commission will consider a motion. All that said and done, we'll go to the approval of the minutes for the April 2nd, 2025 meeting. Are there any remarks?
Those minutes are much more detailed than they usually are because they were required to because of the public hearing for the driveway need to be presented to council. So that's why they're a little more detailed than I usually do.
Thank you. I do have, Chairman has one thing he'd like to add, and that is when we asked our attorney about, oops, let me get to it here, about alternate members.
Yes.
And the attorney commented that we can't do that on the planning commission. I'd like to have that in the record, that so we don't have to address this again, because we have in the past. So Alexander's remarks were that,
Easy adjustment to make.
okay,
Do it administratively. So if you
Okay.
approve it, I'll change it.
appreciate it.
A minor one on page 3, Commissioner comments and interests and concerns, I wasn't put on there.
That won't do.
What?
Were there any comments from you?
I don't remember. I don't remember this morning. Not a big deal. That's why I said it's not a big deal.
If you didn't talk, you probably didn't put Sean. I can put no comments at this time if you'd like me
Not
to.
important, that's what I said
Do
at the
that.
beginning.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I have comments too, whenever you have time.
You had
Yeah.
no comments.
Okay,
More comments?
No.
John had no comments.
Oh, John had no comments, yes.
Okay. Mine's only formatting. The substance was terrific. I would like the formatting to include the numbering of the items that follows the agenda,
Okay.
okay? And
Noted.
designate the PM, the time is at 7 PM. There's no PM as opposed to AM throughout the document. I had one question too, also on, under new business, publications on agenda items, there were additional comments from the public hearing, and a comment from Scott Quinlan, I could be wrong, but it states, asked about council deadlines and why the meeting was not scheduled. Mike's on. Scott Quinlan, comment, asked about council deadlines and why the meeting was scheduled sooner. I think he meant was not.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And that's all my comments. And I apologize, because I could have got back to you before tonight. I didn't have time.
That's all it takes 2 seconds.
Okay. Any further comments? Anybody want to make a motion?
Move to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Farina, supported by Commissioner Meyer. We'll do a roll call vote on that one.
Commissioner Barr is absent. Commissioner Zarnecki?
Yes,
Commissioner Farina?
Yes.
Commissioner Kyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuller?
Yes.
Commissioner Warnick?
Yes. Okay, move on to, let's see, item 6, unfinished business. Seeing there's none, we'll go to number 7, new business. So these, we have a public hearing, and as I went over about the public hearing, so see, we have a large number of people here, so we'll follow our standard procedure. So first one, public hearing, SP 25-02-16945 Masonic regarding Class A non-conforming use. Is the petitioner present? Yes. If you want to take a seat up here, but we'll start with comments from our planner.
Thank you, Chair Warnick. So this site is not unfamiliar to the Planning Commission. They were here previously in February and obtained conditional site plan approval for the, it was conditioned upon variances for parking space reduction and driveway width. So at the March ZBA meeting, they were approved for the reduction from 26 spaces to 20 spaces, but they were denied for reducing the width of the two-way driveway under 30 feet. During this meeting, it also came up that there was an oversight that this is a non-conforming use, therefore, to do any alterations, they need to obtain a Class A non-conforming status, so that's what this meeting is about, trying to obtain that status so they can alter the building to put the overhead door in and also the driveway that they want. So the site is currently, as stated, a legally non-conforming use. It's an industrial use in the CN Commercial Neighborhood District. The future land use map does envision this area as light industrial, which would be aligned with what it's currently being used for now. And our zoning ordinance also specifies the process for obtaining a Class A non-conforming status, and that they have to, the Planning Commission has to make the determination that they meet the 4 criteria that it's reviewed against that it will go through. So the first one is that The continuance of the use and structure would not be contrary to the public health, safety, or welfare, or the spirit or intent of the chapter. The applicant has commented that the property has been used as an industrial use for 55 years. It's unlikely to create any safety concern. Planning notes that, and I don't know if this was clear, I don't think this was clear to me when this was before Planning Commission last time, but they intend to back semi-trucks into that overhead door. So they're currently backing semi-trucks from Masonic into the shared driveway. So we do find this would likely cause safety concerns. We note the continuance of the use would allow the continuation of the hazardous condition. We do not find that the proposed overhead door driveway makes the conditions less hazardous than the current ones, and we would defer to the applicant to provide justification that the proposed configuration would not be detrimental to the safety and traffic of Masonic. The second criteria is that the continuance of the use and the structure does not and is not likely to significantly depress the value of nearby properties. The applicant has provided that the property directly adjacent in a different district is used in industrial use, so there would be no issues with the industrial use. Planning also does not find that it will significantly depress the value of nearby properties as the use is bordered to the north and east already by industrial. 3, that the use was lawful at the time of its inception. The original use of the property was legal, it was lawful at the time. The original building was placed in 1970 and has since been zoned a commercial neighborhood in 1996. And then finally, that no useful purpose would be served by strict application of the provisions or requirements with which the use and structure do not conform. And the applicant provided that the property has been used as an industrial site for the last 55 years. Any decision to not allow it would not serve a useful purpose. Planning does agree that the site and structure are set up for industrial uses, and it would be difficult for a commercial neighborhood use to utilize the structure without further subdividing the site. And then further, that future land use envisions the site as industrial. So in discussing with reviewing agencies, public safety noted no concerns. Public safety is generally looking at the fire code. Engineering also, there was an email about some concerns that I kind of followed up on regarding the pole, the utility pole. That utility pole is owned by DTE, so the applicant, regardless, the applicant, if they were putting that driveway in, would need to get in contact with DTE to make sure that that driveway is acceptable to them with the distance to the pole. DTE does have planners who do that, so if this board is considering approval, that might be a condition. And then engineering also noted that there is a traffic sign that would need to be relocated, and engineering would coordinate with that process. And then engineering had no further comments besides the email when prompted about the utility pole. So that being said, within the existing context described, we recommend approval of the Class A status provided that the applicant can provide evidence that the receipt of semi-truck traffic will not be hazardous to traffic on Masonic Boulevard. Thank you.
Okay. Before we go to the applicant, any questions for Ms. Sarah? Any comments? Okay.
Randy,
Yeah.
you got 2 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who's? Frank.
Who's done, are you? Kathy?
Kathy, do you have a question, or do you have a comment?
I do not.
Oh,
I'm
that's
so sorry.
before. Okay. Commissioner Farina.
Did public safety weigh in on this?
Public safety did weigh in on it. Yep.
And what was their concern?
Well, public safety weighed in that they have nothing to provide. I asked about the utility pole. He said there's nothing in the fire code about utility poles. It would be DTE. The building official also said DTE would be the one to weigh in on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any others? Okay, we'll go to the applicant. And did I get your name and?
My name is Randy DeBuel. I'm half owner of Decal.
Okay. Did you have any further comments or anything to add to Ms. Sayre's presentation?
No, I mean, if one of the questions is about the semi-truck, the safety of that backing into the building or into that space, we're already doing it, on the common driveway. And we've been there, I don't know, probably 15, 18 years we've owned that building, and we have yet to have any kind of a issue or accident backing semis in, on the common drive. So I don't know what other issues that we would have with just having another driveway and making it more safe for the guys.
Am I under the right understanding that the trucks before stayed out in the exterior, that never went inside the building when they did deliveries? Like and I'm wondering only because it's my understanding that with this overhead door, they would be backing into the building. Am I correct? Or?
Correct. Yeah. So before the trucks would back into the side, the guys would have to bring a crane out or something to offload the pipe and fittings or whatever. Now we have an indoor crane, and it would make it a lot safer for the guys to offload the pipe and fittings and whatever, bring it in by the crane.
And weather wouldn't come into play then, too, then?
Yeah, weather wouldn't come into play. And it's really dangerous in the wintertime when you're out there and there's, it's icy and it's slippery outside.
I mean, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because the first thing I think about is the post office next door.
Okay.
And people coming out, and if you had backed a truck right there, you're going to block traffic view from the people coming out of the post office, and that's all day long. You don't even know when they're going to be coming out of there. It just, they come in, they drop off, they go right out. So vision-wise, as long as you're backing in, the semi, no matter what, are they real big semis, or are they?
It all depends. It depends the lengths of pipe we get in. If it's sometimes we order 40-foot randoms depending on the cuts. Sometimes it's a 18, 20-foot stake truck.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's small. It's not always like a big truck that we back in.
Well, my concern is that if they do back in, are they going to block traffic, or will it always there'll be space to back in as far as they need to?
Oh, there's going to be space inside the building, for sure. So the truck can back up far enough. We won't block sidewalk. We won't block driveway. We'll be past where people can come out of the post office, be able to look both ways.
But you are aware of all I took some pictures yesterday, and I got that there's such a mass of things where the driveway would be, besides the pole and the sign. It just looks like there's going to be a lot of work there to get that stuff moved. Have you pursued anything looking into with DTE and?
Well, I wasn't aware of that I'd have to worry about DTE about anything with the pole. Before it was the width of the driveway. And really the pole is further away than on the drawing that the architect sent in. It's in a different location. It's further away from the building than what we thought.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Farina?
I was out this week again. At the zoning board, you were told there was no outside storage. You said you would clean up the outside storage. That hasn't been done.
Well, if you looked at pictures before to what is now, and I mentioned that we had just moved into the building, it was a mess outside, and I said I would get that cleaned up, and they've made big headways with cleaning up that outside.
Well, you also
I was just there yesterday.
You also asked for a reduction in parking spaces so you could park there. You had every parking space filled all the way along the front. I got pictures of it. And it's along the side, and you were parking on your neighbor's property. Now, it was recommended that you get a common parking agreement with your neighbor.
We typically don't park on his property. I mean,
Well, the guy who was there,
unless we ask him if we could park over there, then if we have permission, if we have a load coming in, I only have, I don't know, what's that flag, 20 feet? That's that's my property, that's the line there. So if we're having a truck come in,
No, I
we can't
understand,
have
I
cars.
understand that.
We
but you-
talked to those.
No, you had vehicles parked all along the side of the building, okay? Building along the side. And a guy who had a Harley decal on the outside of his van who went into your building to work was parked across where your neighbor was. Every parking spot that was available there was used. And there was still stuff out on the ground.
Honestly, there aren't any parking spaces laid out all the way down the side of the building like the drawing shows. We haven't laid it out yet because we didn't get the approval to put the overhead door in. So otherwise, if you look at the drawing that the architect submitted, we have all the parking spaces drawn in there, and we can park, as long as we could pull a truck in the building, we can park alongside that side of the building and all the way down, and we will have enough parking space.
Are those doors going to get closed off, some of them?
No, we talked about that at the zoning board, I believe, that we wouldn't have to block those doors off. We only need one handicap spot, which gives us enough parking spaces for the building.
Okay. I got a picture from last night, and it's pretty clear down that whole side, except when you get toward the back, you got pipes there.
We do have a little pipe rack along that back wall, like when we get some loads coming in, that we could stack it out there as we bring the pipe in to cut it. If I have to take that down, I can take that down, but it's not a clutter. We don't, it's typically not loaded up like it was, a month ago.
Well, it still requires approval for outdoor storage through the planning commission, so I think because of those spaces, I think you're pretty much gonna have to keep the stuff inside. I mean, as you're doing stuff during the daytime and moving things around, but at night, stuff would have to be stored inside.
Okay.
Because you don't have any room in the back, right?
No, so,
It goes right to the property line.
right to the property line. I
Yeah.
wish I had that little space like my neighbor has in the back of his building.
Yeah. But then you'd have a shorter building.
I would.
So now you got room inside to put things.
Yes, we do have more room on the inside. And if I can't get any storage at all for the outside, like even if just temporary to bring pipe in and out, then I'll have to take that down.
Okay, Commissioner Zarnicki.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was there this morning, Mr. Pupil, right at a good time. First of all, the parking was, I have been driven by several times when there's lots of parking, but this morning, the parking was just fine. And there was a delivery while I was there. It was a little bit before 9 a.m. And that delivery truck went very smoothly. He pulled into the opposite driveway from the common drive, backed in. The traffic must have been 2 cars that stopped to let the truck back in. It was less than 2 minutes wait time, maybe even a minute. So it was very smoothly. I just wanted the board to know that I actually saw. I do have a picture of the truck. I assume it's a semi-truck carrying a load of pipes or picking up the pipes. I think he came to pick up the pipes, I think. So, yeah. Those are my comments.
How often are deliveries?
Depends how busy we are. I mean, it could be once a week, because once we get the pipe in, I mean, we have to cut it, we have to measure it, there's a lot to do with it. So it could be once a week. Semi-trucks, I don't honestly know how often, like a really big truck like that backs into the building. Most of the time, we get it from our wholesale houses, and they're 21-foot lengths. So, a regular stake truck is, probably 24 feet is the bed, and maybe the front tractor's another 10 feet. So you're talking 30 feet total.
Okay. All right, any other comments from any members of the board? If not, I'll open the public, we open the public hearing, but if anybody,
I think the only thing that I could say as a comment is just that regardless, the fact of the matter is there's going to be a truck backing up on Utica, no matter what here, and doing that thing. And I would argue, especially after seeing the picture of them having to drag that crane out and do all that outside, imagining that in the winter, in a snowstorm, in the rain, all that stuff, inside is going to be arguably significantly safer in the eyes of safety in general, from what I can tell. And yeah, like it's going to happen regardless, so that really isn't going to be the pain point. Yeah, here, take a look at that. Go ahead and pass that.
I'm showing them a picture of the truck that pulled in this morning.
Crane. It's some heavy-duty stuff, that's some heavy things, and
Yes.
can't imagine that sliding around in the storms and stuff, and, you know, I get that.
Yeah.
That makes total sense, because it's not just convenient, it is infinitely safer.
Yeah.
I do know that whole project is probably gonna cost me around 300 grand to make my guys safer. I could just say I don't need it, but you watch those guys fight that rain and the snow and the ice and storms. I mean, it's dangerous, and I don't want my guys in harm's way.
Plus, I like the idea that inside, because of your proximity to the post office, it's a different use. It's not industrial. And, hey, it's been industrial for what, 55 years? So it kind of makes it tough to work with that site when it comes to that. So you're probably not going to make people happy no matter what at the post office, but it's been that way for so long. There's not much else you can do or much we can change, you know, without getting rid of the building completely. Okay, so no other comments up here? All right, anybody in the audience? Has anything? Well, okay, so, wait.
Oh, sorry.
You'd have to come up here, so if you can take a seat.
Oh, I was just gonna do that. You were talking about safety.
Well, up here, please. And then identify yourself, give us your name and your address.
Oh,
Write it and speak into the microphone.
hello.
Hi.
My name is Steve Reinhardt. I live on Wildwood, 34478.
Okay. Move up to the microphone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, hello.
Hi.
My name is Steve Reinhardt. I live on Wildwood, 34478. All I was going to mention is you were talking about cars, their safety on the east side of the post office. That's entry. The exit is on the west.
No, entry's on the west, exit is on the east.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I have it backwards then. That's,
Yep.
yeah. I have gone there, but I had thought it was in the other.
You know.
Left side of it.
There's a lot of problems with I was talking with Commissioner Farina about and the handicap spot, and can't change much with that post office with that, but there's a lot of dangerous situations that could come up. I think they're going to help alleviate some of the problems by not blocking vision, because vision's vital right there as you're coming out with the post office so close to the right-of-way, and you don't have much room to work. So
Yeah, it really should be on the east, the entry, because it would.
you would think
conform with what's
it makes
normal.
sense, but you're probably,
Driving
because of where they put the boxes. But it's been that way for ages. It's been a long time.
Okay, my mistake then. That's why I was looking at that, and you were talking about safety for pulling out, but, I mean, it looks like it's only an improvement, what he's proposing.
Thank you.
Oh, sure, thank you.
Appreciate it. Anybody else in the audience? Seeing nobody else, I'll pull it back up to the board. Any further questions? Close the public hearing at 7:30. And I'll consider any motions.
Well, oh,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, what conditions do we want to impose? Like, what's important here, right?
I don't think there was any.
Yes.
They said
No, it's.
there are
yes.
two.
Yeah, the outdoor storage.
Yep, okay.
Oh, well, that's nothing to do with the driveway.
So I'm going to make a motion to approve this on the conditions that DTE is okay with the poll and figures all that out, and is good with that, as is, and that the traffic sign is relocated.
If necessary.
If necessary, yes. So, and
No outside storage.
that's just part of, that's already a thing, we can
Yeah, it's
figure
not
that out in
allowed.
post. So, we'll just those two.
And this, just so you know, daytime as operating in that, if there is stuff that has to be moved around, that where outdoor storage is more of a permanent. So you could do things during the daytime as you're moving things in and out. That doesn't stop you from doing that. It's just keeping those parking spots open and not creating any problems with the flow of traffic and everything.
I'll support.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
can I please reword Mr. Tuller's first?
please.
Didn't like it?
My suggestion would be to reword it to something along the lines that the applicant work with DTE and relocate the pole if necessary, and follow any necessary steps that they would have in terms of compliance with the pole placement.
What she said.
And I'm sure you're still going to have to,
In this,
it's a county road, so you're going to be dealing with the county for right-of-way work and all that.
Half my roads are county. Just my roads are county.
Yeah,
It's a
Masonic
city road.
is
Oh, that's city right there. I'm sorry. That's
On
right.
the city will take.
Yeah, it changes though as you go over. That's right. So, okay. So we have a motion by Commissioner Tuller and a support by Commissioner Kyle. Roll call, please.
I have,
Sorry, go ahead. This has been a,
I find there's going to be a lot of safety problems here because this is a handicap spot right here. And that creates a blockage for people to see coming out. And I've seen like almost 3 accidents when I've been at the post office there. And this is only going to exacerbate that problem more. So I will not be voting in favor of this motion.
Okay.
okay. Any other comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Barr is absent. Commissioner Zarnecki.
Yes.
Commissioner Farina.
No.
Commissioner Kyle.
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Tuller.
Yes.
Commissioner Warnick.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Can we work with you, Lauren, and figure out what we need to do with the traffic sign? Who do we,
Yeah, so you'll work with Ashley Carpenter, who's the city engineer. I can put you in contact. And I do have someone following up with the DTE. If you think it's faster for you to follow up on the DTE contact, it might be. It might be. I've never done it before, so it's kind of.
I did with DTE just to upgrade the power. It was brutal.
Both of them all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, feel free to send a follow-up email tomorrow. I can put you in contact with the city engineer.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Congratulations,
Stay
best
safe.
of luck.
Yeah, you have a card? Or I'll give you my card. Yeah.
Lauren, do I need to stamp anything for him, or is that, we're good with that?
Didn't you already do the plans?
Yeah, this wasn't
Site plans.
it's not a site
Yep.
plan, so it's public hearing, so.
Class A
okay.
non-conforming use.
Okay, thanks. Okay, move on to item 2 under public hearings, RZ 25-01, Hayes Road, RL to RM. Is the petitioner present? If you can come up, have a seat. We'll get, let's get your name and address right now.
So my name is Josh King. I am the project engineer, and I'm representing Nael Yusuf. My address is 17001 19 Mile Road, Suite 3, Clinton Township.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sarah, if you can give us the background?
All right, thank you, Chair Warnock. So the application before you is a application for a rezoning from the existing RM, residential medium density single, from RL residential low density to RM. Apologies. So this site is approximately 3.7 acres. It's located on the east side of Hayes, north of 14 Mile Road. It's currently just has a garage but no house on it, and otherwise is vacant. And the applicant is proposing to rezone the parcel so that he can put in 8 single detached condominium units instead of the 6 that would be permitted under the current zoning. And this is because the lot sizes for the RM are just a little bit smaller than the RL minimum. So while the applicant intends to subdivide the property to develop 8 single-unit attached condominiums, this is not a conditional rezoning. This is just a normal, conventional rezoning. So any development within the RM would be permitted if this is approved. And so Planning Commission's role in this is Planning Commission will make a recommendation to council, and whether the recommendation is to approve or to deny, the applicant can still move forward and petition council for the final approval.
Okay.
So additionally, our zoning ordinance does not provide any clear standards for review, any standards actually at all for review of conventional rezonings, only for conditional rezonings. So planning has kind of compiled some kind of best practices, includes largely what other communities, if they have standards, what they compare to. And so we've kind of looked at that, and so we provide those comments, but we just wanted to let you know that it's not an ordinance requirement to meet certain criteria. And so the first question is, can the property in question be reasonably developed? So it's currently RL. It could be reasonably developed to be 6 instead of 8. Again, the applicant is seeking to just add those additional. Maybe it's more cost-effective for the or more benefit for the cost of the project, but they could develop it with 6. Second, is the proposed rezoning consistent with or contrary to the master plan? And so I'll flip slides, but this is the future land use map up on the screen. So while the future land use map does designate this as large lot, single family residential use, this designation corresponds to our current RL district. The future land use plan recommends a density of up to 4 units per acre with potentially lower densities if it's appropriate. So we want to note that the proposed development would have a density of 2.16 units per acre, which is, about half of the recommended density that the master plan has. So while it's not the same district that the master plan envisions, it does meet the density that it envisions. If the current zoning designation consistent or contrary with the master plan. So again, as kind of noted, the designation is consistent with the master plan as is, but that density is still less than what the master plan envisions. Looking at kind of the current and proposed zoning designations around the surrounding areas, surrounding it to the north. I don't think I have a zoning map on the screen, but it's in the packet. So to the south, it's RM. To the east, it's RM. To the west, it's Sterling Heights. And to the north, it's RM, or RL. There would create a small parcel that would be RL, just kind of in the middle there, that the house. And that parcel is approximately, there's an error, I guess I added one too many zeros, it's about 25,000 square feet. So looking at the land use patterns, again, the subject site's vacant. To the north, it's single-family residential. To the south, it's vacant. It's that wood lot. To the east, it's open space. And to the west, it's single-family. There are no subdivisions immediately adjacent. However, Fieldstone South is also site condominiums. There's just about 6 of them. And that's about a little under 600 feet north. So the proposed development wouldn't be uncharacteristic in the area. Looking at the current availability and adequacy of existing utilities, there's public sanitary sewer and water available along Hayes Road. The applicant indicated that they would intend to use the public utilities, and they would also intend to use the existing detention pond to the west, or the east. So we would note that they would need permission to use that, and that would have to go through approval through engineering as well. Is there any identifiable public economic need for the rezoning? There's a recognized statewide need for more attainable housing options, and we believe that approving this rezoning would help address that need by allowing for development of additional housing. So we do find that there is an identifiable public economic need. And then Planning Commission must consider every permitted use, special land use under the requested zoning designation, as well as their potential impact. So again, while the applicant does intend to create 8 site condominiums, if it's rezoned, they could put in anything that's allowed under the RM district. So there's a table in your packet, and it's highlighted in areas where it deviates. And the real deviations are really just in the special land uses, which would have to come back before Planning Commission, and those are daycare centers, transitional uses, 24-hour operations, and then 2-family dwellings. Public Safety provided their comments attached afterwards, and engineering provided the comments that I provided today. It was a little after the packet deadline. So based on the above review, we recommend Planning Commission recommend approval of the rezoning to council. We find that the proposed rezoning for the purposes of subdividing the parcel is consistent with the master plan, and further that it provides an identifiable public economic benefit for the community. Thanks.
Any questions for the planner? Commissioner Farina.
Yeah, Lauren, does that create spot zoning?
I don't think it creates spot zoning because it's not rezoning that to be a discontiguous parcel.
But it does. Yes. But it creates it on the other parcel. Now, if you look at, we didn't get a copy of this zoning. You don't have this up on a screen or anything that we can see the current zoning?
I don't have it. I mean, I could.
Because it's RL to the north, it's RM to the south, and it's RM to the east. But with that little parcel that's right there as RL, now as we create RM, we put this little parcel as RL. So the spot zoning is created because of this. It creates that little parcel with the house on it to be spot zoned.
I mean, if you look south, there's an office parcel all alone as well. I don't think that in and of itself, it's not, if it was.
I've got RM right to the south.
I'm talking about below 14.
Oh, yeah, but still, we're surrounding that little parcel and changing it where before it was all part of that RL. Now we've made it completely segregated from RL, and it's created that little parcel of just RL.
It remains RL, does it not?
That does, yes, yes. But we created it as a spot zoning as opposed to it wasn't spot zone before. So now you're doing it to somebody else, not to yourself. You're not spot zoning this parcel. You're creating a spot zone. It's kind of confusing because that parcel is already there. So when you look at spot zoning, it's this whole parcel that we're talking about, the one that we're here for tonight, can be RM. But because of creating that, if we do create that, we've taken a parcel that was all not spot zoned and made it spot zoned. So it kind of, is it fair to that person? No, it takes away from their potential unless this whole thing was all done together. I don't know if I'm probably confusing everybody, but if you look at it, can you visualize what it's doing?
Yeah.
And it's not fair to that parcel. I mean, if they came together and they all wanted to be RM, done deal, like with that at least, that it makes sense. But you can't go creating a spot zone parcel. Is that, the attorneys, am I correct?
So I will say that spot zoning is obviously disfavored. Right?
Yes.
So I do think, though, that there is case law out there suggesting that if there are reasonable facts and articulable facts and reasons for actually, perhaps rezoning a parcel that could result in a spot zone, that's still allowable if there are reasonable things on the record that suggest that that essentially supports that decision. So I guess to summarize kind of what I'm saying is spot zoning in and of itself is not improper.
Right.
There are situations in where perhaps creating a spot zoning can be overcome by perhaps what the commission believes is a reason for creating that, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay. I've got some lights. Commissioner Farina?
But financial gain is not one of those reasons.
That's for the commission to make as part of their findings. So, and again, you have to obviously look at the area in totality. It's my understanding that I hear what Mr. Warnock is saying, that there is a parcel at the front. I do know that some of the surrounding parcels have similar zoning. But yeah, so it's up to the commission, I guess, to make those findings.
Commissioner Zoller, is that yours?
It was, but I turned mine off.
Who's
I have one on. If that's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So spot zoning is something that is kind of, it's broad, it's kind of vague, it's hard to describe. I frequently refer back to MSU extension. They've got criteria that they generally, if it meets these criteria, then it's considered a spot zone. And those are that the area is small compared to districts surrounding the parcel in question. So, that is a small parcel. That the new district allows land uses inconsistent with those allowed in the vicinity. I wouldn't say that it's, again, there's 4 special land uses that were different. That the spot zone would confer a special benefit on the individual property owner, not commonly enjoyed by the owners of a similar property. And that the existence of a spot zone conflicts with the policies in the text of the master plan or future land use map. So just, all the talk about spot zone, I wanted to put that out there for what MSU extension defines as that.
Right.
And that's why I don't view it as a spot zone.
Let me just read a definition. Spot zoning is the application of zoning to a specific parcel or parcels of land within a larger zoned area when the rezoning is usually at odds with a city's master plan and current zoning restrictions. Spot zoning may be ruled invalid as an arbitrary, capricious, and unreasonable treatment of a limited parcel of land by a local zoning ordinance. While zoning regulates the land use in whole districts, spot zoning makes unjustified exceptions for a parcel or parcels within a district. I think when we talked, our master plan does turn all that into RM. Our goal for future land use was that all is RM, all that RL area that's there, right?
No.
No?
No, it envisions it as RL still, but again, as I noted, the density is 4 units per acre. That's the envisioned density, which this proposal is less than that.
Okay, we used it as larger parcels versus smaller. It's not, in the master plan, it's not as clear with RL, RM, but.
The master plan does have it does specify appropriate densities.
Mm-hmm. So, Okay, but we're still creating a parcel.
It's all RL in the master plan.
Is it in the master plan? Oh, I thought it was when I looked at the future.
What material actually changes with doing that? Like, what is the true harm compared to RL to RM, especially for that smaller parcel, which might not even be able to meet some of those guidelines?
The smaller parcel does meet the RL.
Okay.
Yeah, it does already.
Wow.
They're fairly big lots, so it does. The small parcel is larger, actually, than necessary for RL.
Okay.
I guess you got to know the history on this parcel and all of those. When they developed those houses at the back of the line there of the last RL, and they dead-end the street, there was a developer that had bought this parcel that we're talking about tonight, the other parcel, and the one next to it, and the other two, they were promised to get down the road, but the people that stayed there never sold it. So those two parcels now kind of stop that, which wouldn't have been allowed, that dead end on that street as it is. So the goal was, and they had a development that they came forward with for the future that took that street all the way around and back to Hayes through this parcel that we're talking about tonight. So it would have been a much better flow than looking at what we're looking at tonight, a cul-de-sac at the end of a street and just throwing that into the middle of all this. Now, does that screw things up down the road? Maybe not. Maybe that street can still come through the other parcels, because you still got 3 parcels there, but we don't know. So really, that whole approval in the past probably shouldn't have been done. There shouldn't have been those houses there. It should have had a cul-de-sac at the end. But because that developer was going to do that, it changed everybody's mind, I guess, on the planning commission. I was administration at the time, so I really couldn't, I had nothing to do with that or say. So, but in their mind, the reason they approved it that way was because these parcels were going to turn into something completely different than what they're asking for today. So, just throwing that out so everybody knows the history of how we got to where we're at tonight with this parcel. Because now if you take this parcel, do that, we're adding each little thing, and who knows what those other parcels will do. Are they going to try to do something like this too then? And then we got these little cul-de-sacs that have one side of the street with nothing. So it's kind of, this is our community, and we want it to be right, but I guess I'm looking for input maybe from anybody else, but that's just my feelings just from the history of this site. So I just wanted to bring it up. Commissioner Tully.
Just on like a lot of the initial looking at this and looking at the plan that's in place versus what's allowed, it's not really that different. Like, it's not like we're deciding whether or not they're allowed to put houses here. He can put 6 right now. Mm-hmm. He wants to put 8. And looking at the sizes of the lots, they look pretty comparable. It's not like it's a huge difference. And again, I'm speaking about what I see here. Mm-hmm. I'd love to be corrected if I'm wrong. But it kind of looks like not a huge change. And at the end of the day, we can't, I'd love to live for the pipe dream of getting all those parcels together and doing something. That's just,
it's not.
I can't. You got 5 other people that need to be able to come to an agreement on something that's going to happen, and I don't even know who owns those. So, that's my opinion, is that at the end of the day, they can do 6, and they just want to put 2 more, give a little bit more more people in there, because they're truly, especially with, like, my thought of housing that is needed is housing that is going to be less expensive. And the argument that they're going to make more money might be true, but it also means that there's going to be houses there that are going to be worth a little bit less, that are going to be a little bit more attainable for people to buy, with the smaller lot sizes as well. So, because that's the number one, negative to the housing market in general right now, is just the average home price, or average home sale price is like $360,000. And like, luckily, Fraser's mostly a pocket of a little bit less than that, but still, it's a hard time finding less expensive
Oh, and it adds
houses.
tax base to the city, too, then.
Absolutely, yeah, that too. Like,
So,
more lots. So I mean,
Ms. Sarah?
Sorry, I just wanted to add, because I forgot to add this in my planning report. Today, we did receive a petition. It doesn't really impact Planning Commission or anything that Planning Commission might do, but you have it in front of you. We received it late this afternoon, and signed by some residents in the area. So the planning and legal team will verify those addresses to see if it meets the criteria that would require City Council to pass it by a 2/3 vote. But that's just a note on the material you see in front of you. I forgot to mention that earlier.
Thanks, yeah, because it's kind of hard to go through it, like,
Sure. And I believe the residents are in the public right now.
yeah.
So,
So we'll be able to,
thank you.
we'll go to that. Any other comments here or questions for Ms. Sarah?
Yes, I do.
Commissioner Zarnecki?
I just have a few. With the rezoning, is it appropriate to ask the applicant, when we have an opportunity, to ask what type of homes he's going to put in there? I know there's no association to it, so once you rezone it, there are other uses that could go in there by special land use. So
Right.
that's a little concern for me. But as I drove by and trying to find this site, I think this is the perfect situation where we could have used a sign erected there saying this is a proposed rezoning, because I had a hard time finding that location.
Yeah, I should have had.
So that's my only comment.
It's in the drafts for the zoning ordinance.
It is an illegal site by having a garage on there only.
Must be yours, huh?
Commissioner Farina?
With all of this concrete that he's going to put in, where is that water going to go to?
I didn't hear you, Commissioner Farina. Where's what?
Where's the water going to go to that he's putting in all this concrete?
That'd be a question for the petitioner.
Okay.
So we can ask that
Well,
then.
I'm asking my planner, do we need a detention?
So I believe he's planning to use the
Existing.
detention to the east. He would need to get, approval to use that. He'd have to be to satisfaction of engineering. Engineering had some comments on the stormwater as well, and potential on-site that they might need to have. So he would have to meet, the satisfaction of our city engineer for that.
Did public safety weigh in on this one?
They did. Their memo is attached at the end of the planning report.
Anything else from up here? No. Okay, well, we'll go to the petitioner. Anything you want to add or comments or?
Yeah. So as you can see with the shape of the parcel, we actually are limited about how we can lay out the lots. It's not like we can increase its density much. I don't think it's even possible to add another unit. So we are limited, even though this is RM, allows a higher density, it would still be within the future land use, a lot lower, because we are just limited by the shape of the lot. In doing this, we are actually creating a large common area to the north. Mm-hmm. That could be utilized for, something, I don't know, trees or some kind of landscape or something that would add a benefit. Another thing is the cul-de-sac that's right there. So it's positioned so that, I'm not saying this is going to happen, this is in the works right now, but it is in line with the Fieldstone Stubb Street to the north.
Okay.
So
So future.
hypothetically, it could be turned into an eyebrow and continued to the north.
Right.
So, I mean, that's, that would require, purchase of 3 parcels, and that's, not what's happening here, but it is possible in the future. So it is not creating a restriction by pulling that cul-de-sac at that location. As far as detention, I have had initial talks with the reviewing engineer about that pond to the east. It was a community pond that's owned by the city. We'll have to go through the necessary steps through the engineering review to make sure that we are allowed to do that. But based on the original plans for that pond, it appears that there's plenty of capacity for our discharge there, just based on my initial calculations and based on the new Fraser detention standards. So that it is something that we've considered, and it's not something that we are overly concerned about. But if it comes up that we need detention, that's something we can cross that road when we get there.
Any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Zarnicki.
Okay, Mr. King, if you could share with us what type of homes? They're going to be site condos, single-family detached homes,
Yes.
ranches. What, can you just tell us what you're able to share?
There's nothing specific. I mean, I can't really speak to that. That's more,
Further down the line, right?
yeah, that's down the
I
line. That's
understand.
based on what the owner wants to do. He might be selling the lots. And
Okay.
If you want to come up, because you're part of the, just give us your name and address.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. I will put there, I live here for Hayes and Moravian in Belisera.
Give us your address.
And your name.
35619 Belisera Drive, and my name is Nail Yusuf.
Thank you.
So I pass on this road since 25 years. I work and go to, and
You own the parcel,
yes.
so you're the owner.
Yeah, and my son wanna get married and he wanna buy home and he wanna travel north, and I want him to be by me. I live there. I said, you know what? Their homes are 600,000-700,000. Oh, it's a good area. I said, no, Fraser here. It's a beautiful, beautiful, safe place. Come see it. He said, okay, you know what? Yeah, it is nice. Let's do it. I went, I bought it. And then I live in a beautiful house, and everybody come to my house and says, your house is a big, beautiful, 2,900 square footage. And I have the plan for this, and I will build them. I will not sell them lots. I will put beautiful community there for 8 beautiful homes, 3,000 to 3,200 square footage. As engineer Josh said, we can put up to 3,200 square footage. Beautiful homes I will put there, and they will be beautiful for the city, and they will bring good taxes for the city.
Okay, do you want to, you can sit with him. If you have anything you want to add as he's talking.
I have nothing additional regarding
Okay.
the specific house.
I will not sell them as lots. I promise. And I spoke to the neighbors today. One of them spoke to me, the one on the left. I spoke to their grands, or they said, we are old, it's for them. When we die, it's for them to decide. I told them, thank you, I respect you. But I am interested, even if you cut me the back of your yard lot, which I asked the city, they said, yes, you can buy. And then we will, and Josh did for me a plan of continuous beautiful homes to the north. I mean, it will be like the road goes all over to Hayes from that community there.
Mm-hmm. You purchased that property from Trombley's, the ones that were going to develop that before. Am I correct?
No, I did not purchase that one.
Oh, no, the one you're at now, that you own.
I purchased from a lady, Vicky, from her father-in-law, who lives north.
Yeah, it was a Trombley's.
I never.
I talked to them yesterday.
I never.
So I know who it is.
I never faced them. Even at the closing, I missed the day of the closing. He said, I'm here. I said, Vicky, please do something. She said, the money. I said, don't worry. I'll go to the bank and I wire. I wired the money without signing, without nothing. She said, how do you trust us? I said, take the money and do it. And they did the meeting from Southfield to Sterling Heights office from 9 to 2, and I went there at 2, and we did the closing, and the man, I told him, thank you, I did not even speak to him, but his daughter-in-law, and he said, you know what, I'll give you discount on it, since you trust me like that. I said, okay.
No, I know, we're gonna
But I'm
move
talking-
on, but,
And this house, he said, don't go to the other homes, they are my brothers. I said, good. I mean, in the future, probably they will think, and
well, they wanted to develop this site, and they couldn't get those other parcels that,
I even was willing to offer them brand-new homes on me just to give me their lots. I will build them instead of those old homes, brand-new homes, I will gift it for them just to give me, and then I will continue with the community.
okay, we're gonna move on with, we appreciate your
Until they
comments, though.
agree, and let's do this one.
Yeah. All right, you're all set? Anybody else, any questions for them? None? Why don't you take a seat?
Thank you.
We're going to open up to the public. Any comments? It
Randy?
looks, yes.
Before you open up, Lauren, the public safety said if that meets the turning radius. Doesn't say that they approve it, it says if it meets the turning radius. Does it meet the turning radius?
It says that turnaround meets the minimum turning radius as outlined. What it says right at the very first.
Yeah, that's what it says there. I saw that. But then again, that's part of site plan.
Yeah, we're just
talking
rezoning.
that. We're talking about the rezoning tonight, so there is though, but the consideration should be taken on that. But it looked like, because we just got that. So, all right, back to the public. Anybody want to talk? Come, okay, what we'll do, I think, is everybody here for this? Okay. So I'll tell you what, let's start right up here. 3 minutes is your maximum. You're addressing us.
It's 5.
It's fine.
Oh, it's 5, I'm sorry. Why'd you tell me 3?
Because I thought it was 3. I think it's. you sure?
Okay.
5 in your bylaws, Mr. Cox.
Okay, so come on forward, we'll start there, and then everybody just take turns as we go, and, so give us your name, your address,
yeah,
and be
Mike.
clear, talk right into the microphone.
Sure. My name's Kurt Tischer. I live at 33480 Hayes. And I think there was there's a general sense that the density doesn't match the aesthetic of the homes that are over there already. And there's a lot of concern about the proposed plan about water runoff into the adjacent parcels, especially if they grade it up. There's probably people here who could speak more in a more educated way on that kind of stuff. I don't know, at the time that I saw the planning packet, there wasn't anything from, I think it was engineering regarding the water mitigation and drainage and that kind of thing. There may be now, but at the time that I saw it, there wasn't. And there's a huge concern about traffic because there's been a lot of accidents over there. We see a lot. One of the homes right across the street was damaged extensively, and it took them a long time to repair it. Those are my concerns as well, because I've seen a lot of that.
Where are you in proportion there, because you're a Hayes address?
We are actually 2 lots north of the lot that we're talking about now. Those are my concerns. I think that's a concern of the neighbors also in the smaller lot that's in that little corner piece there that you were talking about the spot, when you were talking about the spot zoning. So, yeah, I think that's about it for me. Those are the
Good.
concerns.
Appreciate your
traffic.
concern.
I mean,
Just so you know,
introducing
though,
those- yeah.
that the site would have to be developed with proper drainage. So
Right.
they would have to make it meet everything and not impact adjacent properties. And so just so you know that, there's no way it would get passed to allow that to happen. But just for your information there.
All right.
Appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Next.
Good evening. I'm Henry Andrews, 33469 Sunrise. So I live right across the pond, about in the middle of it. This was brought to my attention by some neighbors, and I do have some concerns. And just wanted to jot these down over here. And I totally understand engineers would have to take care of the water runoff, but the higher density homes that you put in there, the more hard space and the less soil you have. So it's the amount of runoff per hour that you'll end up with. I mean, thumbnail math, you're looking at 3.6 some acres right there. If 50% of that is hardscape, now we're talking about sidewalks, roads, roofs, driveways, everything. So it's going to probably be more than 50%. You're looking at in excess of 80,000 gallons of runoff into that pond over the course of a 1-inch rainfall. So that's considerable. Because my house backs up to that yard, or to that pond. I've seen a couple of heavy rainfalls this spring. I just bought that, I just moved in here in December, so I've lived here a year, less than a year. I've seen, the water raise quite a bit, and I've noticed that there is already soil erosion in my, by my backyard there. So I'm concerned that much more runoff, fast runoff, that's not absorbed by that soil and slowly released would cause a problem. That's really what I'd like to see is a DEQ, kind of taking a look at that and seeing, what the issue is with soil erosion, runoff. There's actually a lot of wildlife that inhabits that pond area. We've got herons, animals, through those wooded areas. I understand this is a city, but also that goes to the aesthetic of Fraser. That's why I moved here. That's why I kind of fell in love with this house. So some of the reasons that I would like to see this stay as a large lot area. And then finally, basic housing values in Fraser itself. Another reason why I moved here, Fraser holds its value. And, I realize that this gentleman, he absolutely has the right to develop his land, okay? But limiting it to the 6 that are currently zoned versus 8, you could still build 3,000 square foot homes on it. But you have a little bit more land area around there that is able to absorb the water, able to allow the flora and fauna in the area to still thrive. So, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that. Next.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Heather Corcoran. I live at 33480 Hayes Road, Fraser. I'm just going to speak a little bit about what has been touched on, and I'm going to read a letter from one of my neighbors who lives right there. She couldn't be here, so she asked me to read that for her, if that's okay. My concern is the traffic, because Hayes Road is extremely busy, and people drive very fast. They don't really obey the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. So maybe we want to rethink the speed limit there, too. And our sewer outside of the homes is pretty active. And in the culvert outside of our homes, there's a lot of garbage thrown out of the cars, and they land in the culvert. And we think that could be hindering and building up debris that's running into the sewers. We have a high water table in the back part of those properties. I know the woods is potentially swamp/wetland area, and it concerns me about the habitat that's on the pond and the deer, that we might be destroying that for them. But getting back to the water table, I am definitely very concerned. I'm not an engineer, but I do know that water will roll down a hill in a storm. Hopefully, that will be addressed, but we, as an owner, I want to be very heavily informed of anything that's developed there. I don't want to see it rezoned. I think 6 houses is quite enough, and I really resent the fact that planning or ideas go into people's heads about property that which they do not own with the ideas of building streets. So now you know. But I appreciate you informing me about why it happened, because we did buy our property.
Which one's yours?
33480. So if you're looking at the lot, it's one more house up. Two.
Two parcels from,
I do
it's
know
the
where I
middle
live,
one of
I
those
promise
three?
you. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So, that's some of my concerns, along with the overflowing and the capacity, because we have a high water table. Because we do a lot to mitigate that with our own home, but we don't want that to be overcome because of the development. And also, as a firefighter, I will tell you, just by looking at the scale, they have very small, the lots look small and the houses look big. So it concerns me that they're so close together, because if you get a fire, there'll be a great lateral extension, much easier. And then if you have the fire department trying to get that wet and to prevent extension, it would be very difficult. So public safety is also a concern for me. And so I'll read the letter, because I don't want to take too much time.
We could just, if you want to submit it, to the board, you can just make it part of the record.
Oh, okay, I think it'll be more impactful if I.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know.
No, I appreciate it, because I'm having trouble. Yeah, could I actually have that, and I'll just read it real quick? We all have it. You
Yeah,
all
we
have
all
it?
have it.
Bill,
Okay.
that's in there.
Well,
Already read it.
all right, great. So, in closing, while I understand this gentleman wants to develop the properties and that we do need housing, I'm also realistic, and I come from a big city that I've seen develop excessively to the point where there's no way to move. And it's starting to become like that already. Too much congestion, and then people start to build up. And, I mean, maybe it won't ever get like this. This is basically my hometown in the 1950s. Now it's not, now they have congestion tax. So everything becomes a bigger problem down the road. So while I understand your point about needing more housing, you shouldn't have to reach outside your window and grab your neighbor's toothbrush. That's not necessarily a thing that we need. You know, we don't need to be all crowded in. And this is why a lot of people relocate to Fraser,
30 seconds.
right? 30 seconds left? I mean, I'm just saying it's difficult. It's very expensive to have houses, and I do sympathize. But
Thanks for your comments.
You got it. Oh,
17 seconds left. You don't want to use it?
I got 15. Are you going to take it? I won't do it then. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Miss Tate. Address is 33508 Clearview. I'm actually the last house on that new building.
That dead ends right there?
Yes, I'm the one on the right side.
Is that on, what the arrow is now? Or the?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I will say this. I have a couple of concerns. My first concern is the traffic on Hayes. I have a 19-year-old, and just coming down Hayes and turning into our existing entrance off Hayes, it's horrible, because they're doing 55, 60 down Hayes, even with us going over to the right side to go into our subdivision, it's hard, because they're speeding each
What's the
way.
speed limit there?
I want to say it's like 40,
45.
35.
45.
You know, and I've been doing, you know what I'm saying, 40, and if somebody is burling on me and I know my stop is coming up, and I would slow down to like 30 just to piss them off, because you shouldn't be flying, because if you're coming from 15, you can go over this way to get into our division, and coming off of 14, you have to, the corner house, you have to kind of go into their space to get over to turn. So my concern is coming off of 14, you have one or two houses after Walgreen, and there's a sharp turn. Where is the stop gonna be for residents coming and protecting this house and this house coming in that way? That speed limit the way it is. My second concern is the water. It's three of us in that back, newcomers is what I call us, and it's wet back there. It's already existing wet. So I'm concerned about where the water is gonna go now. That putting these new ones in, where will the water go? And also, being that last house, I see all of the deer, all of the wildlife. Where are they gonna go? I mean, yes, the geese get on my nerves sometimes, but they're gonna be displaced. I mean, I can have deer walking through and up and down the sides. I mean, where are they gonna go at this point? So I think that we kind of need to look at this. And as a Fraser resident that has been here since 2004, and this is the second property that I've purchased in Fraser, it's getting a little crowded. It's getting a little crowded. And I came from 13 and Kelly area over to this area because of that area behind the Fraser pool kind of got filled up. So then we moved over to this one, and nice and quiet, and you're packing us like sardines here. And I understand that he wants to develop and bring more to the neighborhood, but what's wrong with a single family? He said he bought the land for his son or whoever. What's wrong with a single family home going there, and then your family can go there? I mean, it makes no sense to throw 6 properties here, and then we're coming out at a dead end now that's not being properly maintained at this point, to have to look to see condos facing us this way. And then he said something about looking this way in common area. That would not be common area. That would be the person next door's property, and then a street opening up to our houses that they would be looking at. It wouldn't be a common area. That's it.
Okay. And you know he can develop, though, 6
Yes.
there, so that's,
Yeah, I get that. I get that part. But just
All right.
taking into consideration the
yeah,
neighbors
no, thanks for your
who are
comment.
there.
If we can, because we still got quite a few people, we're going to take a 5-minute break real quick. So sit tight, and we'll continue in 5 minutes. Thanks.
Frank gotta go.
Oh.
Next. Oh, come on up.
Just for reference, I live on this lot right here.
Okay. So give us all your info there. Talk right into the microphone.
My name is James Michelle. I live at 33589 Sunrise for 27 years. And prior to that, I lived just south of 14 Mile Road, 14 Mile Road, excuse me. And I've enjoyed living in Fraser, moved here for the schools. And I just want to echo what everybody else has said. I don't really have anything new, other than that it's such a unique area. I was here when they rezoned Judge Santia's land from 4 to 6. And it doesn't look too bad, but putting 8, and I don't know how he's going to put 3,000 square foot houses on a lot like that, and I don't consider that attainable, affordable housing. And I just want to say that I think 6 is enough.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Next. Hi.
I'm Doris Bartolome, 33540 Hayes Road, and I bought the judge's house.
Oh, okay.
But the problem is that we had to put a retaining wall up, and actually Marco was the one that handled it because there was all kinds of flooding when they started building these other houses behind us. The drainage was absolutely horrible. So that's a problem for the people that are being built there. Second problem is I agree with everybody else as far as the traffic. We are right there where they have that little area where people can go around cars that turning into Villa Fontana. There have been several accidents where people aren't paying attention. Now you have 6 or 8 houses. You have 2 cars per family. So now you have 14 to 16 extra cars that are coming up. You have De La Salle and Regina kids going up and down that road all the time. So you're just adding more danger. I don't know if the transportation has been out there to evaluate the speed limit and how many cars go up and down that road, but it can be pretty dangerous. And now you're adding more houses with more flooding. And I don't know if my neighbor is here, but Dominic can tell you that literally he was having problems, and actually Marco Santia handled the builders to put that retaining wall up because they had already sold that off before we had bought his house. But his house was flooding from the water because our house was built up higher and it was going down. So I don't know how it's going to affect these other people that are living right next to that property.
Where's the retaining wall? Can you point it out up there?
It is literally in the back of the house, so where they built the 6 houses. There's 3 right behind me, then there's a
Right.
street, and then there's 3.
It's all the way down that? Oh,
It is, whoa. Let's find my house.
right there.
Okay, if you go to the back, past the pond, see that, the pond, yeah, right there. We had to put a wall up because the water was just running down into his property. And so I don't know how that's going to affect the other people's properties, since they already have water problems. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. Since we moved to that side, if you want to, any of you? No? Aye.
My name is Al Gentz. I live at 15810 Luxembourg, but I co-own with my sister 33400, which is directly next to.
Yep.
And my first question was, I was never notified of this by mail. I had to find out about it on Facebook, excuse me, that there was a meeting about this.
You live on what street?
I live on Luxembourg, but my sister lives at 33.
Yeah, because you still own the property, because it was your family that owned all that.
House, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I grew up there when Hayes was a dirt road.
Right.
And the comment was made about that those lots were promised to Trombley. Well, we never promised them anything, you know. But my main concern also is drainage. I just want to know how I can be assured that, because the back of that property right now in the springtime is pretty wet already. And what recourse do I have if they build this and now I'm flooded out? So I guess my question is, how can I be assured that the proper drainage is going to be in place?
Yeah, we don't, that's something that comes with the development, so, and that's what engineering's for. So these sites would have to be, they'd have to be addressed at that time. But we're not here for that, so, but we're taking all the comments that we can get here.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Next.
Got to get situated here.
Pull the microphone up to you and make it easier. You don't have to go up farther. There you go.
Okay, there I am. My name is James Evans. I live at 33373 Sunrise Drive on the retention pond, across the retention pond there. I pretty well agree with all of the other comments that they were making. I just want to add that, you know, when it rains and we get a lot of water in the retention pond, the water comes up into my backyard probably 10, 20 feet. And it's causing the whole bottom of my lot to erode into the retention pond. And my neighbors, their lots are eroding into the retention pond also. And I'm concerned about, I realize that he has the approval for 6 houses. I didn't know that when I came here. I thought we had to do that. But he has approval for 6 houses. If he puts another couple houses in there, there's a potential that there's going to be more runoff into the pond. And that just concerns me. That's it.
Thanks. Next. Nope. Anybody? Come on up. Hi.
Hello, my name is Jessica Reinhart, and I live on 34478 Wildwood Court. It's not in as much of the affected area, so at first I was here to talk about like the environmental concerns, but a lot of people have already covered that. But I think it's also important to point out that with the idea of it being affordable housing, fulfilling a need for affordable housing in the area, there are already vacant lots less than a mile away from recently built condos at 15 and Hayes that are still vacant after being there for quite a while. So I would question whether or not there is a need for housing in that area specifically, because there's already people who have the option to buy more affordable homes than this one because they're smaller, and they're not taking up the opportunity. So I don't believe it's actually fulfilling a need that was mentioned earlier for affordable housing in the state, at least not in this area. And that's all.
Okay, thanks for your comments. Next.
Hi, my name is Jennifer McKenna, and I'm off 33517 Sunrise. And I'm right on the pond along, pretty close to Jim here. I've lived there for 22 years, and I've seen significant changes in the erosion. I know across the new homes, there's a gal that put up a dock, and the dock has been damaged a few times after the water it rose. significantly. I have dogs too, and when the water rises, of course, that creates a mess. One of my dogs got really sick, actually, from the water that did come up. It was contaminated, and she, got a parasite from it. I came here for the view. The wildlife is unbelievable. I worry about now my home and the value that it has right now and it being affected. And I do the drive off Hayes too to my neighborhood to get to Sunrise, and it is very busy. And I have seen several accidents over there too as well. And I do worry about wildlife now going underneath decks because they have no place to go, creating issues there because I've had rodents underneath my deck. So that's another issue as well, because I know there is a lot of wildlife. And truly, it is sad. It's sad to see that developing. Being that I did, like I said, I chose that area for how unique and beautiful it was in the school system. My daughter went through the school system, and she's now in college, so I do hope that you do consider, and I do agree with everyone's comment as well. So I do really hope that we consider something smaller there for that reason.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks. Anybody?
Hello again. My name is Steve Reinhardt, 34478 Wildwood Court. And it seems like it's better for low density because there's no ability, it seems like, for additional water to drain off. That might be created with the additional houses being built. Also, was it considered for a bus, if they pick up children, how they would be able to get in and out of that neighborhood? Where would the bus stop be?
We wouldn't be involved with that.
Yeah, but it works out to be some type of safety issue if they have to back off into the street or.
Yeah, usually they figure out if they'd have to pick up at the end of the street at Hayes or whatever. That's what I would think, but.
Okay.
But we don't get involved with any of
Yeah,
that. That's
but
all school district.
also the housing is not affordable, so the introduction of additional housing is more self-serving for the person who's building it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Nobody else? Okay. I guess, do we actually close the public hearing then? Yeah. All right. Close the public hearing at 8:42. Thanks for all your comments. I'd make a quick suggestion to some that things like with the pond and all that, there were issues. You have to go to city management and they'll look at things like, and get it to engineering. So those kind of things you can address, but you have to do it through the system, and especially if there's code enforcement or any of that stuff too. But we appreciate all the comments. The public hearing's closed. Yeah. So yeah, I would get with somebody after, okay? All right, that's it. So I'm bringing it back to the board. Anybody, any comments from the board members? Nothing? All right. Yes. Oh, okay, yeah. You want to come back up? And I'll just open back to you that you've heard comments from the public and that. Do you want to address anything?
I have some.
Go ahead.
So, I mean, there's a lot of comments about the drainage. I just want to point out that the engineering review process is pretty extensive usually, and we do address, I mean, there's lots of requirements that the state and county and even the city requires. As far as, detention, water quality, keeping the drainage on site. I mean, there's a lot of, we can't just do whatever we want. There's lots of very stringent requirements, so we're going to have to abide by before we put any shovels in the ground. So I just wanted, make that clear that that's, we're not, that's something that we're going to consider when we're going forward.
Okay. Anything, any other questions for them? Not, and I'll bring it back to the board again then, and anybody want to make a motion?
I lost my paperwork.
Well, I do take back my comment earlier about affordable housing because 3,300 square foot housing is not what I envisioned for affordable. So definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Still
think you're still
not
in that
quite what I'm
ballpark.
talking about, though.
Yeah.
It will vary, maybe
Yeah.
2,800.
I'm not looking for an answer on it. I'm just saying that in general, that is not the answer, unfortunately. But even still, a lot of the concerns aren't related to like what we can do today.
Right.
They're going to be related to when they have the actual site plan put together. There will be another thing like this where they talk about what they're exactly specifically doing. But as far as like what they are allowed to do now and what they're asking to do, I don't see the huge difference between the two. And my opinion would be to vote for approval. The difference between 6 to 8 units.
Do it.
I'm throwing it out here before I'll make a motion right now, but I want to see if anyone else has any other comments.
I agree. Technology now I don't think it'd be a problem once engineering gets involved with the water issue at all. And people kept talking about the traffic on Hayes. You're talking 8 houses, 16 more cars. I don't think that's going to be much difference either when you look at the subdivision across the street, so. Can you hear me now? So I agree with what you're saying, Trevor.
Well, with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to approve as it sits.
Okay, so
It would be a
just,
recommendation.
A recommendation to approve to council.
and just so the public knows, what we're doing, I don't know if you heard or how this procedure works is just a recommendation to council, and then council will vote, and you're welcome to, again, come to that meeting when they're talking about this too. So I just want to make you aware of that. Okay, so we have a motion. We have comments?
Just
Have a
Commissioner
second.
Zarnicki?
Yeah, we gotta have a
Got to have a
second.
second first.
I'll support. I just want to make sure,
Commissioner Zarnicki.
Mr. Chair, if you would tell the audience, I'm not sure if that notice for in front of City Council, if it's going to be noticed, and there'll be, send a notification of the meeting. I always get myself confused with this municipal.
Yeah.
So the requirement is to notice it for the planning commission for public hearing. Their council usually holds a public hearing, but it won't be the 300-foot mailers.
So be aware of that then, that keep an eye for the council meetings and the agendas. So you can go online and see the agendas, and I would make your comments known to them. Okay? So we have a motion by Commissioner Toller, supported by Commissioner Zarnicki. We'll take a roll call vote.
Commissioner Barr is absent. Commissioner Zarnicki?
Yes.
Commissioner Farina?
Yes.
Commissioner Kyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuller?
Yes.
Commissioner Warnick?
No.
Motion passes.
Okay. So that's that. So good luck. Thanks for coming, everybody, there. And we will continue Now I got to get back in gear here.
You know, at McKinley Park, we went through this, and I wish we would have voted for the sub. Because McKinley Park is a nightmare.
Yeah.
If you live on it.
Okay, if you can, please leave if you have any comments, because we still have a meeting going on. Thank you. All right, public communication on non-agenda items. Any public wishes to talk on something different? I don't think so. So, okay. So we'll move on to monthly report.
I think it'll be an anticlimactic one, but with Alyssa's return, I'll turn it over to her on anything she wants to say on Hockeyland.
Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back.
Well, it sounds like there was some progress made in my absence, so maybe it was just me.
We blamed you.
I know. I completely hear you, Mr. Farina.
Did you watch the meetings?
I didn't. I'm sorry. I was tied up doing a few other things. But I did talk to Mr. Denault. He said we are still waiting on the documents to come back from Register of Deeds. I don't think we have received them yet. Take some time. But from the legal side of things, as far as I know, everything has been completed. So I don't really think that there's really much of an update, except things have been completed, as far as I know, recorded and everything.
Else?
Yeah, the only other new item is that Sheets will be back tomorrow at council to potentially to seek an amendment to their conditional rezoning for the illumination levels under the gas canopy. I'm not sure if council will be ready to make a decision at that meeting or if it's just going to be discussion, but there is the potential for them to make a motion to amend that conditional rezoning agreement.
What about the impervious surface ordinance?
That is up there. I'm excited about that one.
Is that going to be
It's on the agenda
for tomorrow?
for tomorrow.
Oh, is it? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I do. Anything else?
Sheets was the other thing. I put in a call to Don in your office, and nobody went out to all of the attorneys, and nobody has returned my call.
Okay.
It has to do with state law and the rezoning of this, and if you read that state statute,
Okay.
I can go over it with you afterwards.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, I guess, well, we were talking about the monthly report, but it's the zoning board of appeals member liaison report.
Oh,
Right.
well, okay. We have had no meeting. Seems to be a common theme. We will have a meeting in June where we will do some, we've decided that once a quarter, we are going to have a meeting just to keep everybody together and to keep working and looking at the things that are coming up.
Okay.
One of the main things that I'm working on as a zoning board rep is the new zoning ordinance. Okay? This is a rough draft of that ordinance that we've been working on, and it comprehensively rewrites all of our zoning ordinance. So if you guys want to be part of that, or you want to read this, I think you need to talk to Lauren to get a copy of it.
Can you send a file like that size to us, email?
I can, but you won't like it.
It's 194 pages.
Yeah.
So it's,
I can take,
so it's,
just
and then there is a guide.
some thumb drives.
I want to add chickens.
So the
It's already in there.
Exactly. I want it.
The plan is to have city staff provide feedback. They are kind of just wrapping up their review. And then the steering committee will meet in the beginning of June. We'll take those comments. I was planning on bringing that version before planning commission so we don't have, a million kind of people commenting on a very, very rough first draft. So that was my plan. Is that okay with planning commission? Does that approach work?
Oh, yeah, we're still going to see it before any
before it's, it goes to council or anything. Yeah, because planning commission has to recommend it
Yeah.
for approval.
But it'd be good to have some time to read it previously.
Sure.
Not right before, the week before the meeting.
Sure.
So, that'd be great. Okay? And nothing else?
No, nothing, since we haven't had a meeting for the last 2 months, there's nothing else.
All right, since you're talking, we're going to go to commissioners' comments and items of interest, so we'll start with you while you're on a roll.
Okay, if you notice, some of us have the same shirt on, kind of make us look
Pretty cool.
pretty cool. We're the cool side.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah. The lady who ordered them from the zoning board is the one who deserves the thanks for herding all the cats together,
Thanks to Emma.
Yeah. Anyway, starting this Friday, if you're interested in a good fish dinner, go to the Fraser Knights of Columbus on Kelly Road. It's great fish dinner. All right, that's all I have for you guys now.
Commissioner Kyle?
Nothing to do with this, just a real quick story. I live on Marcy, my backyard is McKinley Park. And then when we moved in there in 98, I think it was just a big field. And the same thing happened, they wanted to build a sub and, everybody was against it. Well, they ended up making it a park, which is 100 times more of a nightmare than if it would have been a subdivision. The things that we have to deal with, the guy sitting on the bench, flashing my neighbor 3-4 times a week, a guy every night about 9:30, 10 o'clock with this spotlight looking at everybody's yard, the kid, it's a nightmare. I wish we'd have left it become a sub, I really do. Besides that, I'm good.
Okay, we'll go across. Commissioner Zarnecki?
I'm just curious, because we brought up the post office this evening, and that's a nightmare for me. So is it the federal government that brings the site plan in front of us? Or what's the process? You don't have to tell me tonight. I'm just curious. What's the process of,
Good
putting in
question.
Fixing
a
it?
post office? No, just the site plan development process.
Who knows how it happened? It's been there forever, it seems.
Forever, I know.
Yeah,
And that parking is horrendous, and the
Yeah.
handicap parking in the front.
it's the traffic flow.
Awful.
Yeah.
So,
I
just
don't know
curious.
if there's anything on our end. Sue the government.
That's all I have.
All right,
Thank you.
Commissioner Tuller.
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Meyer?
Nothing at this time.
And believe it or not, Chair has nothing. So I guess I'll take a motion for adjournment.
I move.
Oh, wait, I didn't go to these members, nobody? Nothing? Okay, we're official now. All right.
I'll support it, yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Farina makes motion and supported by Commissioner Kyle to adjourn at 8:57 PM.